up, I'm sorry, forgotten it. I don't do love, 어쩌는 get away. I've been living like this, living like this, living like this. I've been living like this.
Welcome to the KYP podcast, a show about letting go of things that prevents you from reaching your goals and being yourself unapologetically. My name is Danny. I'm here with my co-host,
KYP James,
Kevin G.
And we are back at it again with another special guest,
Andy Xiao.
Another one.
Stanford graduate, co-founder of A&E Academy, and the host of Mind Diaries. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me once again.
It's been so long, Andy. Thank you for coming back.
You've been missed.
I feel like you were wearing the same tank top as last time, right?
It's kind of a signature. I have like, you
Are
know,
those the
girls
same
have,
muscles from last time? Are those the same muscles?
I thought I made a few enhancements, but maybe we got to do a little more in the gym. But no, like, you know how girls have 10 same leggings? I have like 11 of these, you know, I just throw them in the washer. It's really simple like that. Yeah. It matches everything.
We were thinking, we were talking outside, just joking. We were saying next time Andy comes on, all three co-hosts should be wearing tank tops. Should be wearing beaters.
Hell
the day
no.
Danny wears a wife beater, bro. Oh man, that'd be fucking something to
A
see, bro.
Viet uncle.
Yeah. Y'all don't want to see this, man. When I put on the beater, it's game over for all you guys. Game over.
So yeah, we were outside too
Thank
discussing the actual topics, and I definitely love to go into more the sales parts, how you know there's all trial and error, the Goldilocks effect between trying to find something that is right or for you, also how sales affect life, and then at the end being a genuine salesman. So let's hop onto it.
So just to start off, I guess a little bit about my backstory in terms of like career profession. It's definitely not a conventional one. It's very, very strange. So, you know, my dad being a businessman, he did study law. He got his law degree, which was very impressive. Actually, he didn't go to law school, but he passed the bar.
Oh,
so he
interesting.
basically aced like every other aspect of like the test that wasn't law related, and then he was able to pass it. So he's always been a finesser, but he's incredibly smart, way smarter than I am, but he lacks emotional intelligence, unfortunately. Nobody can have both, I feel like. And we can talk about that later, how everyone's different, and it's never a one size shoes fit all. But essentially, I started off growing up wanting to be a lawyer because my dad wanted me to be one. And then as I got into like high school, I started doing more things related to people instead of books. I think I'm much better dealing with people than books. I think some of my friends are much better dealing with books than people. I think this is actually a thing.
Yeah.
In terms of like just your ability to concentrate, enjoy your dopamine release from reading each sentence versus speaking to someone each sentence, right? So I think I'm definitely more of an emotionally vested person. And I think started off, my first job was construction worker. Told you guys, step on a nail. Almost died, bled to death. Almost got tendinitis, all that. 16, I started doing night market. So you know how at the night market, there's like all these booths, right? I was the reception. So I was the guy, we were making like Kit Kat drinks, whatever. I was doing like what James was doing, basically, like doing all the balance sheets, all that stuff. It was nice to like be able to handle money at 16 because it felt like I have a sense of like accountability. Yeah. And I feel like I really like, I thrive in that accountability. When people have something that they expect from me, I try to deliver. I think that becomes a better version of myself. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to mess it up. I'm going to count it every time. I'm going to count it down to the penny. I'm going to make sure everything's good. So after that, I was very vested in badminton. So a little bit about my background. I played badminton like pretty much professionally up until I was 17. I was playing tournaments in U14, U15, U17. Accomplishments, like I mentioned, I have 2 silver medals for BC, Richmond, competition for Thanksgiving tournament, and another one I can't remember. But one in doubles, one in mixed doubles. But I played very, very... very, very, very much back in the days, like 4 or 5 days, I'd be living in the badminton center. And granted, I got pretty good, and they asked me to do coaching. And after they seemed to like me, they're like, "Do you want to be the receptionist as well?" So I was pretty much like just really involved in that badminton center. After working there, basically selling them rackets there, doing accounting there. They left a 17-year-old kid to run the whole shop. Like the badminton center closes at 1 a.m. at night. We played till pretty late, some of these guys. And my boss would be asleep at 9, so he'd just go home. And it's just me. Sometimes I forget the light. I have to bust back to turn the light. I'm like, oh, fuck, I think I forgot to turn the light off outside the parking. There's so many things, man. There's like 11 levers. I have to open the security camera, set the code, close the till, count the cash, can't be off by $20, count the water bottles, the rackets. Dude, I was running a one-man shop. But I think it made me, it was a way to, I was a very introverted kid, despite everything, growing up. That job made me a little more extroverted because I was forced to deal with people. Yeah. It was inbound, right? I was coming up to people. I had to deal with people's problems. Bro, there would be days where the whole parking lot is packed. And one guy's like, yo, I got to move my Nissan car. The two guys are blocking me.
And on those days, it's still just you.
It's just me, bro. They don't double dip on these shifts. It's just one guy on the front desk for like 11 quarts.
Yo, your boss was living the life.
He just eat, bro. He's this fat, big guy, man. He just eats, chill, sleep. He comes coach like 1 hour a day. Only on like the top prospects in Canada. He like serves them a few times. He's like, I'm out. Fuck this shit. Like, anyways, but yeah, back to that. I was basically, I guess, took ownership and I was very entrepreneurial at a very young age.
Yeah.
After that, I did a few more roles. I did bubble tea shop, and then I worked at Abercrombie and Fitch, and then I worked at Ted Baker, and then I worked at TD Canada Trust. But the last 3 roles are more like sales, right? After TD, so TD was interesting, right? I think TD made me learn a lot. And I think if I was a parent and I wanted to put my kids through a good professionalism at a side hustle, I'd tell them to go work at a bank.
Like a part-time job,
Like
right?
a part-time job as a teller. Because you meet all types of people, but not only that, you get to see their financial side of things. So you become very, like, you get an epiphany basically of like, okay, this guy carries himself this way. That's how much money he has. That's how he controls his like credits and balance and everything else. And obviously you don't disclose these things, but it's like a different like perspective. Yeah. Like, you see this guy, he's acting all bougie. This guy walks in with his Gucci shirt, flexing. He's like down $2,000. Like no money. You can't judge, but like you're just learning. You're learning, right? Yeah. But then you also see people like construction workers that are like calluses everywhere, bloodshot eyes, exhausted, right? And you would come in and turn on like a $600 check that would not only get bounced sometimes, but even if it does work, he would pay off the bills he owes, not even the balance, but the outstanding debt on the balances I'd pay for him. And he would be down to $20. He's like, can I withdraw the last 20 for dinner? Wow. It's like, shit. It's tough. It's real shit, man. It's real heavy.
You see life in a real lens. You see life in
all lens. And then you see the lawyer comes in. He's fucking talking to the girl tellers. Like he's flexing. Like he's got $1 million in his down, man. So you see all types of people. And like, I guess you can learn from all types of people, right? You can learn from people who got rich, but you can also learn humility and appreciation for people who are really struggling.
Right.
And I think that really changed my perspective on life. I think I got a lot more mature. Like I kind of knew what I wanted, and that's why even at the bank, like I was comfortable, bro. So 8 months into teller, they promoted me to be advisor, and they wanted to make me a customer service manager before I graduated. And I was like, that's pretty sweet. Like it's more money than the job in Toronto too. They're all like 50K, 60K, very like starting salaries, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, it doesn't really matter. Like I could just stay here. I could stay with my mom, save money. I could be balling with 60K. Like I'm the
that's an 18-year-old, by the way.
18-year-old, right? Yeah. I'm like, that'd be sick. But then I talked to my branch manager, who's like 45 or 50, and he has like a kid. And I don't know. Every time I talk to these older colleagues of mine, and I think this is another thing that's good at the bank, most people are older and they're bitter.
They're boomers.
They're boomers and they're bitter. So when I talk to them, and I realized that even if I was the best version of myself at this bank for the next 10 years, and I could get to where they are, let's just say when I'm 35, I don't seem like I want that life that they have. Yeah. They don't seem happy. They don't seem fulfilled. They seem like they're just comfortable and rotting away. They don't do much work, but they complain a lot. I don't want to be this type of person.
They just gossip, eh?
Right, they gossip. They just kind of like try to make the day, but then they always complain about how they drive their kids. They have no time for themselves. Money's tight. Because like what the thing is, like working at a bank is kind of working for the government. It's like they take care of you. You know, you have benefits. You get massages. You get
they make you comfortable.
You get spending.
Holidays.
You get gym membership, but you don't get a lot of savings because they don't want you to leave. Right? There's always a caveat. There's always a caveat. So even if I'm working tremendously hard, I'm not reaping any of the benefits more than my coworkers. That's what I realized. Gotcha. I'm not a very diminishing return. That's why I moved on and took that job, even though, dude, that job was insane, guys. You guys would not imagine. So a little bit about this company, Ingenious Prep. They're a global consulting company. They have 12 offices around the world. Toronto was the office that they just bought it. They just bought the office. So nobody knew Ingenious Prep. Nobody knows what the fuck it is. Our services cost $50K to $100K, and we sell to customers. We don't sell to businesses. What? We sell to kids. For example, James, you're grade A. Yeah. I talked to your mom. Hey, James, want to go to Stanford? Yeah. We talk in Chinese, right? Like I'm talking their language. You know, I'm saying the things you want to hear. Yeah. I'm saying, oh, dude, I had a great story, man. How I would sell it, I'd be like, full honesty, obviously, like your kid can go anywhere and be successful. But I just want to share my story. I went to UBC, you know, I gave them the whole pitch about the students being different, the mindset, inspiration, peer influence. Oh, I was a top rep in the globally, man. In the first quarter.
global.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
when
you
I
sold
went to
them a
train,
story, yeah.
when I went to train in New York with the CEO, we were doing like one-on-one, and we were just doing like role play, whatever. And after role play, he was like, it's very inspiring. I got very lucky. He liked me a lot. He was spending a lot of time with me. He was like, you know, I think you could beat our record for the first 3 months of any rep is like 200K or something. And he's like, I think you could beat it. Even though it's a steep learning curve, right? First 3 months, you don't have to sell anything. It's kind of like you learn. He's like, yeah, I think you could beat it.
Yeah, potential.
And then somehow, some way, third month, I messaged him. I'm like, I hit 252K. Thanks for believing in me. And then next time he brought like a cash button to me.
Damn, cash
Okay,
money.
the cha-ching button. Yeah. Joe, he's dope. Yeah, and later on, he actually cut the story by a lot. But like before taking DoorDash, he was offering me a job in the Vancouver office as the director. He wanted me back, even though I quit on him. And during COVID, I literally was like, yo, can you fire? I want to quit, but can you fire me so I can get served? But that was the whole thing. Yeah, that was the whole thing.
So I have a question for you, Andy. You know, right before you took this ingenious prep position, were you like in your heads like, oh, I'm gonna kill it at this job? I know I can definitely be number one global salesman.
No.
Or did you surprise yourself in that role and discover,
Bro,
you know, your ability? Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I think when I took on that role, it wasn't, like I said, outcome focused. I wasn't like, I'm gonna be the best, I'm gonna kill it. But I did do everything I could to kill it. For example, the first day of work, it was I remember first day they already had a conference going, and they're like, okay, Andy, go set it up. I'm like, where? They sent me the location, sent me to pick up the flyers. Bro, it was very scrappy. It was like at like one of the marketing locations, right? Like I woke up at 5 a.m. because I don't have a car. And my dumbass didn't know that you could Uber and get it expensed. I was like, I'm going to bus for 3 hours, man, with the fucking like some random ass place in Markham.
Yeah.
Did the conference, introduced myself to everyone. They loved me. But again, like that all of that comes from not thinking that I'm gonna get much, but more invested in how am I gonna get to it.
Yeah.
I didn't particularly look at hard work like hard work. I felt like it was what was needed.
You were just doing what you needed to do.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And I think
it
you
didn't
can
feel
relate
like
to that a
work.
lot,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
But yeah,
For sure.
that's how I thought about it. I don't think I expected it to go that well. Honestly, I'm still surprised. But
You followed the process.
I just followed the process, and I
Yeah.
think it was a good fit for me being reflective now because I was bilingual. I was able to communicate very fluently with the consultants in Stanford or whatever, but I was also able to captivate the audience of these Chinese. My mom is just like these parents. I know the buyer, right? I know what they want to listen to. So that's why you wanted to send me an offer or invite me back to be the director. I think he knew I was a good fit for it.
Yeah.
I think my problem was I did. Like for better or worse, I didn't want to deal with people like my mom all day. That was literally
That's true.
what
No,
drew me
that's-
away. I know it sounds
Respect.
like
Gotcha.
You know.
full transparency. It was just like, man, I'm like trying to convince these moms all day. It's not really what I thought I'd be doing. I'm making good money, but it's like, and okay. So what actually broke me was COVID. So COVID, they cut everybody's pay by 35.
Oh.
They cut mine by 25 still. I was flattered, but that didn't change my decision. And I was like, yo, like, and I wasn't making that many sales because all these moms are like, yo, the China business.
They
not
can't
going.
come. Yeah, they can't
The
come.
factory
to
will
Canada.
have not going good, you know. Like
Yeah.
maybe we join next quarter. We can't do this quarter, you know. It was like the buyer persona was shit, bro. Money was bad, man.
Yeah,
Like so, everyone's concerned. So I was like, yo, I'm not making any money doing this. So,
And you're in Toronto too.
right. So
Yeah.
me and my boss came to consensus that I quit, and I basically did a very interesting, guys. I did a cross country drive from Vancouver to Toronto.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, that's a week long.
A week long. Took me like, what is it, 5,000 kilometers, something
Yeah.
crazy. Incredible experience. We bought a car for it, bought a convertible Mercedes for it, old school. We drove that thing, broke down a few times on the road, had to learn how to fix the car for the first time. Yeah, almost died a few times, got attacked by a bear almost. It was crazy. It was
Shit.
an amazing trip.
This was you
for that
alone?
time. It was me and my roommate at the time, Kevin Fernando. Another Kevin.
Another Kev, eh?
Seems like I have a type. I just like Kevin's apparently. Yeah, it's a thing. But yeah, man. Going back to the story. Pretty much after that, I spent some time processing. What's very interesting about this part, I don't want to go on a tangent here, but right when I started my interview process, I moved back to Vancouver with my mom to be in the right state of mind, right? But the thing is, right when I started it, on the second day, I got a first offer from this like online property management firm, and they loved me, and they're like, "Yo, we want you next week. Come back." This guy named Alec. He was very wholesome, and I was like, yeah, down, let's do it. It's like 90 KOT. Not bad, bro. Like,
Wow.
not bad.
Yeah.
So I accepted it, granted. And then my dumbass had like 10 other interviews lined up, but I was like, I'm just going to go through these for the experience. And then for most of them, I was like, yeah, whatever. Like similar pay is fine. One job specifically, and this is the irony of life. already locked in the offer. I already had my start date. I was already doing onboarding training. One random ass Vancouver company was like, hey, you applied to us. Now answer this 12 questionnaire questions about yourself and all this shit, a paragraph of scenarios, your targets, before we decide if we want to interview you. I'm like, who the fuck are you? Like, who the fuck is this guy? I'm like, but then I thought about it, I'm like, you know, I've done like so many interviews now, and being self-reflective, I'm like, I've learned so much from every interview. The way they ask me questions, every interviewer is a different position in a company. The CFO, the CRO, the COO, whatever. And I can see it from all the perspective. I'm literally doing this for free. I'm talking to these professionals for free. Why would I not do it?
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck it. And these guys, after answering the questionnaire, they're like, you have to come into our downtown Vancouver office. Everyone at the time during COVID was remote. All my interviews went on my couch. And these guys were like, yeah, you have to come into the Vancouver office, dress accordingly. I'm like, fuck it, I'll do it. It's fine. I'm meeting the CEO and the senior AE. Let's go learn something. I went there, dude. They're like these, basically imagine us, but they're like in their mid-30s after they just got their masters. This is their like big project. They have a warehouse. They're like really going for it, right? And I think for me, it was just inspiring. It was like, damn, I kind of, and they were like, they were hitting me in the fields. They're like, we see you and us, like, you know, like we see you there.
They really wanted you.
Yeah. And then I was like, listen, like I love the interview, but I have a commitment in Toronto already. My girlfriend's there. Bro, I wish I could show you guys. The CEO sends me an email. He's like, you know, my girlfriend and I did long distance when I was studying in the NBA in Chicago.
He was selling hard.
He was like selling it hard. He's like, if you need any tips, I'd love to. I want to give you $10,000 for relocation expenses. You know, we are a delivery company. We can transport your furnitures if you want. I'm like, damn. Like at the time, I was like, kind of like, let's do it. At the irony, here it comes. This was like one of the worst corporate jobs I ever did in my life. Like, honestly, probably the hardest sales gig I've ever worked. No, the hardest sales gig I've ever worked on. It got me questioning if I wanted to do sales.
Yeah.
It was the closest I've been in depression, fattest I've ever been, the most like lifeless. Like I look at pictures in those days, like the light in my eye was gone.
Yeah.
This is like dark side of sales. And let me explain why. So this guy's like this ambitious, like he's only worked one job in banking before. He did his master's, and now his dad's retiring, so he's taking over the company.
Yeah.
Right. And I think this is where I learned like reality, and like there's people's ideas and ambition, but there's also execution. Now, not every company that has dreams is said to be successful. Like for them, the operation was like, oh, Andy's going to be the spearhead of the operation. We don't have marketing. We don't have a website. We don't have product pictures. Our product details are from
like
5 years ago.
Yeah.
And they're like, Andy, make 100 calls a day, book your meetings, sell our shit. And I'm trying, but here's the problem. I'm trying to talk to this tomato farmer in California, the biggest one, where I finally got in contact after 20 calls with the secretary. I had to try different moves. At first, I'm like, hi, Susie, can I please speak with your fucking a procurement manager? Yeah. She's like, fuck off. She hands on the phone. You have to try. And then I was like, okay, maybe I'll go with the more management tone. I'm like, more stern. I'm like, I need to speak to John, whatever. Yeah. And then she's like, who is this? I'm like, about the procurement process. I try to keep it vague. I'm not lying, but I'm keeping it vague. And then when they finally transfer me, we get to talking. They're like, how long did it take for you to drop your shipment? I'm like, you know, we have one warehouse in Burnaby, Vancouver. It'll take us around 10 business days for like 30 pallets of shit. They're like, you guys around downstairs, like, you guys sell the same price. Like, and that was the best price I can get him. Because it's hard to compete with giants when you're a small distributor in terms of supply, right? So that's where I found out the difficulty that in sales, there are great sales jobs and there's bad sales jobs.
Yeah.
The product.
Do you have the right team behind you? Are the logistics sorted out?
The market is market product fit. That's the biggest learning from that experience was the market. I worked there for a month, by the way. First 5 months was the first time I ever missed sales quota in my life. They wanted me to sell, I think, 100K per month, which is not a lot, but it's a lot if you can't sell it. Like if nobody wants to buy your shit, they want to say 10 days and nobody wants to pay premium prices. Like I can't compete in pricing. These guys are so stupid. They bought their mask at $15 a box, and on Amazon is $9.99 a box for the same mask. And they're like, please try to sell it and not lose money for us. I'm like, dude, like I don't know what to tell you.
The impossible challenge.
It's impossible. Yeah. So the product market fit when it comes to joining a sales job is very important. I can't stress this enough. With A&E Academy, my startup, that's the biggest thing I stress. When you look for a job, doesn't matter diplomacy, you do your own research and diligence on, does this product, if you were a buyer in this market, would you pick up this product? Right? Like that's something to think about. So transitioning that, I realized that's why I joined tech sales. So it's not that I particularly love software. I'm not even a coder. I don't even know any JavaScripts. But what I realized is I need to find a resource and a product that's flexible and adaptable enough for my sales skills, right? My ability to oversell, my ability to like overpromise. I want to be able to overdeliver. And with the technology, that's the only thing that can do that. Right. So then I joined a company called Lightspeed. I'm not sure if you guys use Lightspeed POS.
The POS.
Big competitor with Square. I noticed you guys are Square. good for you guys. But yeah, I used to work at Lightspeed. I only worked for 4 months, and what I
How'd you like
negotiated.
it? Yeah.
I actually really loved it, but the problem was I worked for a company called Ven, and we just got acquired by Lightspeed, so it was very messy. And I was supposed to become an AE, so I was working as a BDR, which is like basically like generate meetings for people, right? And my compromise on that was like because I had no tech experience, but me being controlling my ego, I was like, I'll do it. I'll learn everything you want in 6 months. If you feel like if I'm killing it and I'm qualified, you have to promote me. And that was a negotiation, right? But then literally 3 months in, guess what happens? We get acquired by the different company, and they're like, yeah, you have a new contract now. Instead of before I was an associate AE. They bumped me back down with BDR. I'm like, yo, and then like, yeah, we don't know your roadmap. It's hard with the company because now it's merging. We only have so many people on the team, whatever. So I ended up looking at a different company. So 4 months in, I joined DoorDash. And yeah, so I had 2 offers. It was with the Genius company, coincidentally during the same time, or DoorDash, and the pay was similar. It was around like 120 to 150. It was like pretty solid, and I was like, I should. Honestly, I just wanted to move to Toronto. Yeah. That's why I took that one. I asked my boss if I could work remote for Ingenious, and he was like, no. So I was like, all right. So I came to Toronto, DoorDash, and here we are. Some accolades forgot to mention some accolades. At Lightspeed, I was a leading rep out of my whole team of SDRs. I was 305% over my quota.
You're a beast, man.
No, not too much. I just wanted to make sure I list these because I do forget. For DoorDash, I am now 25 months straight hitting my quota. Haven't missed the quota since I've joined the company. And yeah, I've recently been promoted. So now I'm a senior enterprise account executive, and I handle all the top 50 brands in Canada. So anything from McDonald's all the way down to Subway. Those are all part of my brands. And yeah, right now I'm building this company called A&E, which is what everything I just talked about. You know, if you feel like sales is something you want to pursue, I think tech sales is a great place to be. And my job as a former experience of a person in many industries of sales is I want to give you every experience I have and what they're looking for in tech. And that's why I started this academy. Actually, what's funny, the real reason I started this academy was a natural organic interest. It wasn't even from me. So many of my friends were reaching out to me for coffee chats and asking me how could I break into tech. And actually, so many of them, after my advice, got into tech. And I'm like, okay, there's interest organically, and this shit works. So why don't I start a company for it to provide the demand for this
problem?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. So that's kind of how A&E became today. You can check me out at A&E Academy, salesacademy.com.
Natural born salesman, eh?
Yeah.
Can never turn it off, you know?
I mean, sales is such an important thing in life, right? Yeah. We all technically are salespeople. Just you had a very long journey to become like the salesperson you are right now.
Yeah.
It applies to everything, right? And I know you've been going left and right, back and forth to try. Do you think sales is one thing you want to keep doing until the end of your life?
That's a really good question. I think yes, to the point of I'll never stop selling myself. And the reason why that is because I think, like you just said, everyone is selling in a certain way, right? For example, let's say personal, me and you as a friend. If I didn't know you, Kevin, how can I make sure we can meet again if I like you? Right. I have to sell myself as a good friend. So what are the qualities Kevin is looking for? Yeah, that's what selling is, right? And that's he's the buyer in the scenario, but the same concept applies to everything. Like Danny, photography, same thing, right? It's like I gotta present it in a way my client likes it, right? And I have to make sure they trust my skills. How do I sell myself? Yeah. Like how would you, like for example, in this, how would you sell yourself? I'm curious.
In what exactly?
Like photography. Say how do you make sure clients come to you? Like, is it by the way your portfolio looks? Is it by the way?
Yeah, so it's really mostly the work ethic and the portfolio. Mm-hmm. The thing about photography that's very different, right, is that photography is a pissing contest of who has the bigger gear. And corporate people, you probably look at creatives. If some guy shows up at your company trying to shoot your product with their iPhone versus the guy who shows up with 4 pairs of 100%. Lights, you choose a guy with the bigger equipment because you don't know better, but the guy who has the iPhone might take better pictures. So corporate is very different because I'm a corporate photographer, and they look at how expensive your thing is. And the selling yourself is number one, your assets, what you have, your portfolio, but most importantly, it's how do I fix your problem?
Exactly.
And it's so different between James and how do you guys decide, like, how do you guys basically sell yourself to clients?
Yeah. So it's my first year in sales, and, you know, I had an inkling that I would do well in sales, and that's what I identified as a career path that would suit my skill set the best. But when I entered sales, it was a little bit different from what I expected, right? Because my idea of me doing well in sales is because I've always been good at interfacing with people, making connections, and growing relationships. Like even if it's just through friends or in school, part of school clubs. I've always felt like my social skills were one of my greatest strengths, right? And when I got into sales, I realized I needed to learn a new aspect, how to engage people who are completely cold and convince them to work with you without a pre-existing relationship with them. So I found in my job, I have two functions. One is more like a relationship manager function, account management. So these are existing clients that we work with who've bought our product, that you want to continue to grow. Because what we do is we work business to business. We sell IT consultants to most of the major corporations, in finance, financial sector, banking sector, and some retail as well. So all of these industries, they need IT consultants because there's a incredibly competitive market for developers and stuff, right? Google and Amazon, they take away all the top talent. So we kind of fill in that gap. So I found starting this job, I've been very good at growing existing relationships. Like when I meet the managers who have worked with my previous colleague, and I get on a call with them, I go to dinner with them, I meet them in person. Those conversations, I feel like for the most part, people want to work with me and buy from me because they trust me. They think I'm a stand-up guy. They think that I'm reliable, and I show them that my approach to growing relationships is really focused on the other person. I want to make sure that I feel like I sell because I genuinely like something, right? When the way I promote ideas and convince people to do activities I like, or come to this party or work with us, is because I'm really passionate about it. And it becomes kind of infectious. So I'm so passionate about it, it kind of rubs off on other people. And that's how I've always sold my whole life. And in this sales job, I had to, that's not how it works, right? You have to learn the script. You have to know the value proposition. All those things were new to me. And I feel like that as I'm building those skills, like learning the fundamentals, how to dribble, how to cross over, before I was kind of just all reliant on natural instincts. But this has honed all my other skill sets when it comes to sales to become a more complete salesperson.
100%.
Yeah.
I have a different approach on sales. For me, unlike you, I feel like you could sell anything. I feel like you're that type.
I try to.
Yeah.
I think it's a muscle. You gotta flex it. But
I feel you on the good and the bad sales job. I've been in good sales jobs and I've been in bad sales job. One of the good ones was definitely working at the boutique. Like when you were saying you're working at Ted Baker, I worked in a similar shop, like a mom and pop shop, for 3 years. And the way I got that job is by selling myself on Instagram. So when I was, like what Kevin was saying on the previous episode, I was selling myself on Instagram. So I was posting pictures, I was posting my outfits. And then one day I just got a DM from one of the directors at the shop. He was like, "Yo, I really love your style. Just come to the shop if you want to work in retail." And that was at the point where I never had a retail job, and I thought like it was impossible to get one. But I really loved fashion, so I went for the interview, fucking nailed that shit. I wore my best fucking outfit, like this long wool overcoat, like super like Matrix vibe. I came into the store, went for the interview, got the job on the spot. And I feel like for me to sell something efficiently and to be the to be really good at my job is to really like love that product. I cannot sell everything. Like I was in recruitment before I started working at the bank, and I just couldn't perform as well as just not only because, and there was different kinds of factors within that job that hindered my performance. One of them was similar to your PPE job.
Yeah.
Like the structure was not there.
It's just not. It's not.
I was
efficient,
out in the wilderness. Like how I felt is I was out in the wilderness with rusty tools.
Sphere of the
Yeah.
operations.
Yeah.
Sphere of the
And,
operations.
and you know, and they fucking sold me. They're fucking sneaky.
Yeah,
man.
bro.
They sold me
Tell
this
me
job.
about
They sold me this job. Yo, this is like, this is a new territory we're going. Like, the U.S. team is making millions. You know, like thousands of dollars every month. You know, cybersecurity is getting big. You know, COVID is happening. Like we need to, we have all these clients that need cybersecurity services, so sell it, bro. It's an account management job, and you said account management usually is existing clients, right?
Right.
Correct.
This was all headhunting,
Yeah, that's not account management.
and not only that, as an account manager, I was also the recruiter. So
Yeah.
there was times where I had to find my own candidates, and
That's
then,
so tough. That's
and
so
then
fucking tough.
And then the next part of my day, find customers, and then match those candidates to my customers.
Might as well
like-
start your own company.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like
Like at that point,
it felt like
right?
a startup, and
Yeah.
it really, like that job as well really questioned like, oh, am I a salesman?
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
my whole life I did retail, I did customer service. Like I know I can sell. I know I'm good with people. I know I have a high EQ. Sorry, like I can really feel people's emotions very easily and sense, you know, when they're comfortable, when
Very
they're liking
empathetic.
it, and I could suggest things that they might like, you know. But this job was just like totally out of my comfort zone. It was very uncomfortable. Missing my quotas every month. They couldn't sell. It was like inefficient.
And I think like that's the thing, right? I think some of these sales jobs kill dreams because it's like it gives you the illusion that that's what it's supposed to be. But what the job you're actually doing there is you're a recruiter, you're a project manager, you're a fucking sales guy, and you're trying to make money and build new business. Like that's 3 or 4 people's jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you can't be like, hey, like that job, I hated it because it's like this specific thing because he made you do more than one job. It's not like
And I
even physically
tried my
possible.
dick off. Like I
Of
was there for a
course.
year and a half.
Respect
like,
on that. I stayed for
respect.
6 months at my
Yeah.
job.
I
was
stayed
losing
because
it.
I loved my team. Like I loved the Montreal office. Like
The Kool-Aid was good.
the Kool-Aid was good, man. Like recruitment's fun. Like I get it, but I think it was just the wrong department. And my biggest like mistake or my learning lesson is if it doesn't work, you can definitely change.
Yeah.
That's
Don't
different.
feel like you have to
Goldilocks
force
Effect,
it.
Yeah,
man,
I
that's
was
the Goldilocks
trying to
effect.
force it so hard
For
until
sure.
like it just didn't fit. And,
For sure. I mean, look at me. I've had like nine jobs, like now 9-10 jobs. It's not about finding the right one right away. It's about eventually finding the right one.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
I
it.
think you shouldn't
Yeah.
settle though. You should never settle when it comes to things. Because another way I see it is like when I tell people, it's like you spend more time with the people at your work and doing what you do at work, but more than people in your family, your loved ones, anybody. You sometimes even maybe yourself. It's like if you don't even have a high standard for that, then 60% of your quality of living is shit. Like if you're hating the
much,
moment you
yeah.
wake up to the moment you go home, that's like 80% of the day.
Yeah.
The sun's gone. Like pick something else, you know? That's kind of why I quit in 6 months. Like even though it looks terrible on my resume, I did have to clarify. My last quarter, I signed the biggest meat packer in Ontario, Conestoga Meat Packer. Shout out Karen. $255K deal. 3 months of
Hey, yo.
shipments. And
What up,
95
Karen?
gloves.
wait,
Thank you very much.
wait, which company was
This
this?
is the shit company.
The shit
So
company,
I went
yeah,
out with
man.
a bang. I left. I gave my resignation with that contract. I'm like, it was
was a gift.
It was like I'm out. Like I proved myself. I'm out. I can't do this anymore.
Damn.
But I think it brings back to the topic, like even if, let's say the Goldilocks thing, like finding a proper job, but if you find your job that you want to work with, there's still some kind of Goldilocks effect going where, let's say me as a photographer, right? I can't be too passive, and then have all my clients come to me, but I can't sell something for someone who doesn't want. Let's say if a restaurant, they'll say, yeah, well, let me come here, get some corporate headshots so you can put it on your website. Like they don't fucking want it. And that thing in Wolf of Wall Street where it's kind of sell a pen to someone. you can't really sell a pen to someone
The
who doesn't
first
need a
question
pen.
is, do you use a pen?
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
it's, I mean, like it's anything.
You have to
like,
qualify.
Exactly.
And that's
Yeah.
that's the thing, James. I wanted to say is like
Yeah.
you say like I could sell anything. I maybe, but the thing is the person on the other side it has to be willing to listen.
That's true.
Yeah.
Right? It's like if I'm selling like Kevin something that like Kevin knows, I don't convince him to do everything with me, although I love to. But I give my wins. When I see an opportunity, I always seize it. Right, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm a very particular type of prospect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of like
He's too bad.
I already know what I want. So like the more salesy, the more I can detect the salesy,
Yeah.
the less inclined I am.
I'm exactly
Yeah.
like that. When I go shopping, man,
Yeah.
you cannot sell me.
When they come with
Yeah.
the voice like, "Hi, is this James?"
Yeah.
You know,
Nah,
oh,
nah.
I have a fantastic opportunity for me.
Turned off.
Turned off.
Your job as
Yeah.
a salesperson is to know.
I want to be
Yeah.
understood if I'm being sold to. You know, like, do you actually know me, or is this just a copy?
And
pasted
dude, again,
pitch
like
you give to everyone.
me and you could be not the right prospect. Like maybe I'm not the right person to sell to you.
Yeah.
And it's my job as a salesperson to disqualify that lead early.
True.
So
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
discouraged, wasting time, and being delusional.
Nah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Right? There's a million other people out there.
Yeah.
We got to find the one, but
Don't be
Kevin's
stuck
not the
on
one.
one thing, yeah.
That's exactly what it is. Like, and I think that's one thing that people like when they don't sell someone something, they blame it on themselves. They're like, oh, like I'm not good. I can't convince them.
Yeah.
It depends on the situation, I think.
So I think we can transition directly into pretty much the last big topic that we wanted to discuss is being a genuine salesman. Really, because it's so hard, right? Sometimes, like I said, you can't sell something to someone, but a lot of times salespeople, you gravitate to that salesperson because, let's say, James and I, we worked in clothing too. You worked in clothing too. If a guy walks up, he wears a suit or he wears a piece of clothing and he's like, how do I look? And you see that he has wrinkles everywhere. Half a size is too small. And you're just like, yeah, it looks great, man. Like you should buy it, stuff like that. But
Classic.
a lot of
Easy sell.
a lot of salesperson tend to gravitate towards just selling the item. But then you meet a person and then he says, how does that look on me? It's like, honestly, bro, you look like shit. Like, I swear, I think this color looks better on you. And it's part of being genuine when you're selling something that you care about the customer that gravitates. I wanted to know your thought on that.
100%. And to add on to this, piggyback this, the experience for the customer went from a 3-star to a 5-star.
Yeah.
Because even if you did gas him up, he feels slightly good. He knows the truth. Like,
Yeah, when
know
you
what
go-
I mean?
yeah, when he
like
goes
he's gonna
home,
find shortcomings.
yeah.
It's not gonna be a long term wise to have recurring customers. You have to address the concerns, the issues.
truth,
Okay,
yeah.
should we taper it? Right.
Right.
Danny, I totally agree with this specific point because, like, for me, when I sell something, my favorite line actually is, "Can I be transparent with you?" And I share our shortcomings, but I share some of the ways we can mitigate those things. Like, okay, we don't have a tablet for our POS, but we can do this integration. Would you be interested in that? You know what I mean? It's a compromise, but I think it's important to get the compromise early again to know if this is a disqualifying factor or can we work through this? Can we work through? Because it's friction, right? When you're telling this guy, no, you look like shit. It's creating like it's not comfortable.
But it's getting to a point where you're telling him that you're saying this for his best interest.
It's like yoga. You gotta have stretch before tension before release. There has to
Exactly.
be a bit of tension. You have to address it for there to be more release in terms of the even you and the customer. The customer now knows like, okay, this guy's gonna make you look fly. If I wear a shit suit, he's gonna check me, and that's how it should be. Like that's your job, right? I think like again back to the Abercrombie and Fitch. When I worked at Abercrombie, which I didn't care. I just folding clothes all day, you know, like just standing there and getting sprayed cologne all day. Like my persona was completely different, right? I didn't really care how everybody looked in it. It doesn't really matter to me. But that's because the product sold themselves. They didn't really care about who was standing
You don't
there.
need a stylist or
Exactly,
somebody,
but when it's something more particular, like when there's actually a niche and there's a buyer for it, you have to make sure that as a seller, you're doing that.
Yeah.
You're being the product, part of the product.
Because at the end of the day, you're trying to solve someone's problem with your product, right? The whole idea is qualifying people who might have the problem that you know your product can solve, and then communicating to them that, you know, based on our conversations and understanding your challenges, I think it's a good fit. Like you're kind of a matchmaker between your product and your client, right?
So it's hard not to be biased because you got quotas.
So you got to be honest to them, but also honest to yourselves. If you see a prospect that clearly probably won't benefit from your product as much as someone else, don't don't force it on him.
This is a big problem with the current sales market, is that because managers are micromanaging employees are over forecasting and they're under delivering.
Yeah.
Right. Because for example, when I worked at Global Supply,
Yeah.
dude, I had maybe 5 good deals a month, but I was saying, I got 10. Nothing's coming through. I'm overselling as much as I can.
Yeah.
I got 10 prospects on the list, but it's bad because it's force me to believe I actually have 10, but I don't. So all it's gonna be is disappointment. I think like that's one thing, like a lot of
Looks bad on
micromanagement.
you. Yeah.
For sure.
And even in terms of sales, right? You thread this fine line between I believe in the product, but I also have a quota.
Exactly.
It's such a gray zone because a lot of people they say, "Dude, you're just selling this to me because like you're getting paid to do so."
And to address that, I would be like, correct, I'm doing my job, but in the hope of this conversation, I would want to have fixed the problem for you by the end of this conversation if you did sign this. If this has not impacted you positively in any way, dude, don't sign.
Yeah.
Like why are you signing?
Honest, yeah.
Right? Like that's
Exactly.
kind of my angle. And this helps when you have hit your quota a few times. I won't lie. This is the slippery slope, right? As a starting sales, like you can relate to me when you're struggling.
Yeah.
Even at Global Supply, it gets worse.
Yeah.
It's like gambling. It gets worse and worse because you're becoming more and more passive. You don't want to lose this deal. You're being like a slave.
Yeah.
You're a pushover. Negotiation wise, you're like, you don't even have an anchor. You're just going down and down and down, right?
You don't have any power in it. Yeah.
Exactly, right? So I think it really helped when I see some success in my current role. And I think the reason I got better now is actually luckily becomes the confidence and the comfort that knowing that I can sleep okay if this deal doesn't go well.
Yeah.
If I can make the buyer feel that, even if that's not how I feel, if I can make the buyer feel like, listen, I don't care that much about this deal.
Exactly.
If I'm not helping you here, don't sign. If that's the persona I can make him feel based on the way I'm selling, I think that's the most effective way to sell anything. And don't get me wrong, Kevin sometimes decline my invitations all the time.
It's reverse psychology, man.
Yeah, but it's part of it. You
It's
have
risky.
to accept the L's
It's
and the wins.
For sure.
Yeah, I think it's really sales is one of those things in life that really checks your ego.
100%.
100%.
It checks your ego so bad because you think you're delivering the best product and out there, and it just takes one nick in the armor for your entire sales pitch to go down the drain. And then a lot of times, especially people who are new in sales, they don't have a plan B. They don't have a plan C. And then from there, you're just
Practice, yeah.
you're just trying to crawl back. It's like, no. I know that there's this product that's cheaper, but ours is like so much better. And it was like, but I'm here for the cost. And but you know what? Let me talk to my manager, and we can
That's exactly how I had to play it.
That's when you lose control.
and that's
you
when you
lost
lose control.
control.
for
You
the
out of the
you
customer.
can literally feel it. Like you'll be in the middle of the call and it's like, fuck, I'm spiraling.
Yeah,
I'm spiraling. I'm
losing
spiraling.
control.
Yeah.
I think the best part was there. Like my advice in terms of doing this is like I started taking longer pauses. And what I realized about taking longer pauses is even if I don't come up with something, the other party usually says something first.
There's power in silence. So like that's something I had to learn. Like that was such a new concept to me because I kind of just fire.
You have to feed you more information.
Yeah.
Like say I'm at a stalemate with this guy where he doesn't like what we have, but I don't know what his blocker is. Is it because he wants something cheaper, or is it because he wants something like more efficient, whatever, right? But he's not giving it to me.
Yeah.
So at one point, like I'll just be quiet for a few seconds, see if he wants to like rant a little more, and that's how you get more information.
Yeah.
And this works better on cold calls.
What do you think of the other move, which is calling it out? Calling, hey, it seems like you have some hesitation here.
It depends. You got to know your buyer.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I do think if a buyer has ego, you can get checked out.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes when my deal is going incredibly south, I do that.
Right.
It's like if I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down swinging. I'm going to call out the things you have a problem with. If you don't want to solve it, call me when you want to solve it. That type of thing. Like because if it's going to go spiral anyways, like. So just knowing when to use it.
But that's where the emotional intelligence comes in, right?
Reading,
Knowing your audience.
Which buyer would be okay with that type of,
And I think just to basically wrap up this conversation, at the end of the day, sales is just about solving a problem. Hey, it's not about paying, let's say, $25,000 within a span of this year to fix your problem. It's about looking at the opportunity cost and what value you gain out of the product. And once people start understanding that it's not the dollar amount, it's what solution I'm giving to you.
It's the value in the solution. Absolutely. I mean, a good example of this is like, okay, for example, I love coconut water. Kevin knows. Dollarama sells it for $2, right? But why is it that every time I go to hot yoga after class, I go straight to the fridge and pick up their $6 coconut water, the same one?
Right. It's
Right.
worth that much to you.
It's the
Exactly.
value. It's like, I'm dehydrated. I
Yeah.
need this water, right? So it's just like you got to find the buyers that are timeline that are looking for this, that are like in need of a solution. That's first of all, right? So when you have that, it's a lot easier. For me, the lady doesn't have to say anything. I'm like, put it on my card, please. I might get another one. it's you know what I mean? It's that, right? Like it's, but
He's so smart.
for me, it's like I don't think that it's worth $6. Like if you ask me to buy it now for $6, I say no. You know what I mean? It's just finding the right prospect at the right time and
Context.
even making them feel that way.
Yeah.
Like maybe not specifically the hot yoga, but if you can make your buyer panic about this issue they have, right? Say, oh my God, you guys don't have a great website. You know, the store next door, they got so many more customers, like 5-star review, yada, yada, yada. Make them
Amplify the
nervous,
need.
right? And make them nervous. And then they're like, yo, that's why they have so much lineups now. Like your food's better, but it's tough. Like
sweating.
if you don't do it right, it's tough. Like you don't know if it worked, but it's clearly not working. Like so, you make them nervous to a point where they're like, okay, do I need this? Like maybe I do need this. But yeah, that's kind of how the hot yoga anecdote.
All right. I think that pretty much wraps up this conversation. As always, where can we find you?
Again, can check out my podcast at Mind Diary. I will be coming back with the season 3. Have some fresh ideas for you guys. It's been a long time. I know I've been on a 2-year hiatus, but I am definitely coming back. I'm making a promise here on the podcast. And yeah, really, if you're ever interested in tech sales or if you liked anything we talked about in sales, happy for you to check out A&E Sales Academy. You can also follow me on LinkedIn on Andy Xiao, Xiao. I do post every day on recruitment and tech recruitment processes and advice and reasons to join tech, yada, yada, yada. And yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It's awesome.
Yes,
so,
sir.
my name is Danny. I'm here with my co-host.
KYP James.
And tune in next week for another episode of
Kill your pride.
What about Kevin?
Kevin G.
K for Kevin.
Girl, I know it's on your mind. I know it. But 이 느낌 올 때마다 미안해. 사랑 같은 건 아니로 했었나. That's just. So maybe wanna fall in love.